Hey, kia ora. Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Sun City in Arizona. Hope you're all having a super fantastic sparkling day. I have to tell you, today has been incredible. You all saw this morning us in the car. Yes, we got out there, and I just realized that I didn't put the other bits up there. I forgot to write down what I was talking about tonight. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, so I've got this up in front of me now. So what happened today? Oh my gosh. So we went for a short drive because remember when you were watching the Facebook Live this morning, which was 7:39 part 1, I suddenly realized that I had a call at 10 o'clock. So we went off, we found somewhere for breakfast since the Burger King we were driving past on our way to we don't know where was closed. And it's sort of like, okay, fine, we won't do that. So I just got putting my feet up. I got my 2 footstools now. Oh, hang on, I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry, my brain is scattered because I am super excited. We'll get to that in a second. And so we found somewhere to grab some breakfast. Brought it back home here. Sat down and had a quiet breakfast. Although Zeffie wanted more of the hash browns, and then because those little ones, and then she wanted some of the egg that was on the. I have croissants. She wanted the egg that was on there as well. She loves egg. She loves the hash browns, and not everybody's hash browns, and not everybody's fries. And then we got ready for our meeting, and our person we were talking to today no-showed because their alarm didn't go off to remind them that they had a meeting to get onto, which was fine because I just sat here and potted. I got my shopping list done because I had to do grocery shoppings today, and that was okay. And then she contacted me later on, and we were fine. But then I also I did a quick run to go get the mail, and brought that back home and got excited because I was unpacking. I was going, "What's in this box? What's this?" And I got this. Here it is. Now, some of you have seen me talk about this before, and this is a phone holder, and Miss Peggy sent this to me, and you can actually, it folds out like this, and you've seen me demonstrate this before on past ones, but what's really cool about this one that she sent me, it's got my name engraved on it, so now there's no arguing over which one's mine. I have a ton of these around the place. I got one over there. I've now got 2 here on my desk because one holds my phone and the other one is going to hold the hotspot. That's what I was trying to think of, hotspot. And for those that don't know, you can sit it like this, and you can sit your phone upright. You can sit it sideways. So if you're sitting on a plane, now we're getting back to traveling, you can sit there and watch your little movies and things. And then if you wanted to, you can even do this and hang it over the back of the tray table in front of you and have your phone here. But it's got these little grippy little rubber grips in here, a couple here, so it stops the phone from sliding around. And I will tell you this, before I found the really cool one that I have, and then the rubber grips on the bottom here. And then when you're done, it just folds up, slips in the side pocket of your handbag, your backpack, your pocket, and you're good to go. So thank you, Miss Peggy. But the really cool part about this is that I was actually using it as a phone holder for my phone up there in the cup holder area when we were traveling. And for the most part, the phone stayed in there. When the roads got a little rough, it tended to jump around a little bit. But I always had it on the side, sideways, not up and down. And it could never go very far because it was plugged into the power. So if it fell down on the floor, I could reach down, pick up the power cord, and stick it back on the console in the middle between the seats. But yeah, I was glad to find the one that I can actually like screw into the cup holder area, and it holds the phone firmly, and I don't have to worry about it getting under my feet or anything like that. So these things are awesome, and you can now get them engraved with people's names on them. Yes. And so that was in the mail. The other thing that was in the mail, which I'm super excited to start reading because we learned all about this, or we learned about when I was doing the class a couple of weeks ago for the genealogy, this they talked about this story, and they talked about this book, and of course, me being the type of person I am, I was like, ooh, that sounds good. So I got this book. It's called Only a Few Bones And what it is I'm going to read you the thing on the back, because sometimes genealogy can be murder. And this is some of the things that this is a book about some of the stuff that genealogists can come across. But the cool part is that this guy uses genealogical and research skills to, So family law claimed his ancestor was murdered in Mississippi. Newspapers and court records said the man and 4 other victims were killed and incinerated in his remote country store. But the case was never solved. Now, after 30 years of investigating, the great-great-grandson of the slain carpetbagger, whose charred remains were only a few bones, reveals what really happened at Rolling Fork Landing on that night of March 4th, 1873. And his conclusion is not what you expect. I'm so like, oh! But there was a few people in our class that were talking about this book, and I thought, I can't pass it. I love good mysteries, and the fact that it's a true story, and the fact that genealogy is involved in helping solve this mystery and everything else. I'm like, that's just like, and they kept talking about this book, and I just kept checking off more and more check marks of books that I absolutely loved. So this arrived today. I can't wait to read it, but first I have to finish reading this one, which is called Whitsick. And an acquaintance of mine, her father was the one that started the whole Whitsick program, and it's really cool about how they started it, why they started it, and all of that. And it's just such a cool book. So it's, and so I'm sort of like, I got to finish that one first, and then I can read this one. So, but I may end up starting the just a few bones at this, while I'm still reading Whitsick, because I'm one of those people that I always have 5 to 6 books on the go at any one time. That's just how I am. And yes, I do remember where I'm up to and what the storyline is. For those of you who go, no, you can't do that. Yes, you can. I've actually met people who have more than 5 to 6 books on the go at any one time. And you can pick up a book and you say, okay, this is such and such a book, where are you at? And they'll tell me. It's like, so super excited about that. Then I already done my grocery list. So I sat down, put on my groceries, because I knew I was going to be in for the rest of the afternoon, and got that order. And the girl I had doing the grocery shopping today, she was amazing. She was so apologetic. She kept sending me this message. She goes, I'm sorry, but this is out of stock, and they don't have your replacement. And like, I wanted some kiwi fruit, and they have them in a clamshell, which usually in the clamshell, they still need to ripen up a little bit. And most of the ones that come in the clamshells are the ones from New Zealand. So as I said, she says, oh, they don't have your clamshell, and they don't have your clamshells for the kiwi fruit. And the one that you wanted as a replacement, which was actually kiwi gold, which is the golden kiwi fruit, which doesn't have the fur on it. The flesh is yellow, and it's a little sweeter than the green hairy one. She said they're out of stock. She said there's one there, but she said the stuff inside looks really old. That's what she told me in a text. She says, but they do have the loose ones if you want those. And she actually sent me a picture of them, and I was like, no, but thank you anyway. Just do the refund. And then there was something else that I wanted too. And she says they don't have your first option. They don't have the second option. This is what they've got left on the shelf. And she's like, I'm so sorry that all this stuff is out of stock. I said, it's not your fault. I said, you don't work for the store. I said, you're just being generous enough to go and do my shopping for me. So I appreciate it. And then she comes back, and there's these really cool quiches that the supermarket has that are really, really yummy. And I got one a couple of weeks ago in the last grocery order I did, and it was really yummy. I thought, oh, and that was a broccoli cheese one. And they also had a quiche Lorraine, and so I thought, oh, we'll try both of those. And she says, I can't find the quiches anywhere. She said, I've asked about them, showed them the picture and everything else, and the person says, oh, we don't have those, we don't carry them. And she said, are you sure? And she's like, yeah. And she walked around, and she said, I walked around a little more looking for them. She said, I couldn't find them anywhere. And I said, that's weird that they said they don't carry them, since I got them from there a couple of weeks ago. And she's like, well, where did you get them from? I said, I don't know. My shopper got them for me. But she found them. And she's like, that is weird. So she's like, I can keep looking smart. I says, no, it's okay. But she was such a sweetheart. And so I started working on some genealogy stuff, prepping to do the research, because I always do prep work of like, okay, because my time is done by my research is paid by the hour. I sit down and I'm like, okay, we prep before we research. So I sit down and say, okay, this is what I'm going to be looking for today. what are my best resources to go through? And I was going through my little checklist thing and getting everything all lined up and everything else. And that's why I was so late on today, because I didn't so much go down. No, I didn't actually go down a rabbit hole. I had a thread, and I started following that thread. And that thread led to something I didn't expect to find. So I was super excited for my client, because now I have found some information that she had been looking for. So I was like, yes. And she doesn't know it yet, which is even cool fun, unless she's watching this. So if you're watching this, hi, I'm sending you an email shortly with an attachment. And they actually had a copy of the original document imaged online. And I was like, yes. And there was so much information on this piece of paper. And it was a birth registration. And there was all this other information. And then there was a surprise on there. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So yes, I'm gonna have to dig more into why that was done later on this particular, was put on this particular record later on. So yes, there's a little mystery with this document, but I was super excited about it. And then Zeffie comes over to me like she wants to go for a walk, and I'm sort of like, it's not time yet. And I look up at the clock and went, oh, I'm late for my live. So yeah, but that breakthrough was massive. It was, for me, it was massive. I actually almost started crying. I'm like looking at this record going, I can't believe I found it. And the thing is that because of the records in this particular area are few and far between in some things, to find one of the ones that you didn't expect to find is even better. So I am like on cloud 9 up here somewhere at the moment. But I can't wait to send the email. So I'm going to have to take a puppy for a walk soon, because it's starting to get a little darker earlier. So we used to go out. We used to go out around 7:30. I don't know where that comes from. We used to go out around 7:30 for our walk, because then the sun was below the roof lines of the houses, so we're walking in the shade, even though it's still like 100 and something degrees outside. And we started doing that. But around 7:30, it's getting darker a lot earlier. So we've now got to start bringing our time forward for the walk. So as soon as I finish from here, I'll be putting the shoes on and we'll be going for a stroll. And then I can come back and I can email my client and give her some happy news, some unexpected news, which would be really, really cool. But yes, so it's kind of fun. I'm sort of like, oh, I just want to keep researching. I just want to, but I'm sort of like, no, I have to stop and digest the information that we found and try and decipher the other handwritten stuff that's on there to see exactly what it says and why it was done when it was done. So yeah, so I gotta stop and take a break. But how did you get on with your rest and relaxation today? Let us know, what did you do today to rest and recharge? And our question for the day, the tell your story question of the day. I'm looking for another term instead of tell your story, because I'm looking for a domain name to get, and tell your story is already taken, so I've got to find another domain name. But the tell your story question of the day today is, did you have any Sunday traditions when you were a kid, and do you still continue them today? And if you want to know about my Sunday traditions, you're going to have to go watch day 739, part 1. I know, I'm so mean. I'm sorry. I'm not repeating stories. No. I may tell you new ones. I was trying to think of a new one that I could tell you, but I think I basically said what our Sunday traditions were. You know, and as those kids got older, they changed. Yes. Because then youth group got thrown in there. Oh, yeah, because then I used to go back into church some Sunday afternoon, some Sundays. Oh, yeah, that's the story. That's one I didn't tell this morning. So when I was in youth group, because we lived it's like a 20 to 30 minute drive from, well, probably about 30 to 40 minutes from the church to our home. And so rather than going home, having the time at home with the family and everything else and lunch, and then having to turn around and come back for me to go to youth group, because we had an evening program with the youth group, my parents spoke with families that had kids in youth group with me that I was friends with. And so I would end up going to their places. So some Sundays I would end up going to their places and having lunch with their family. And then the afternoons would be spent playing board games, going for walks. And I remember one Liz, I used to go stay up with Liz, and we used to have a lot of fun. She had these really cool parents. And she ended up being a doctor, I think it was. Yeah, I think she ended up being a doctor. But anyway, so what we used to do is we used to walk from their place because they wouldn't take the car to church. So you had to walk home from the church to their house, which was about a 20-minute walk. And then up the street from our church was Pukekura Park. And we her and I got to know that park like the back of our hands. We would spend a lot of Sundays up there crawling around this park or walking around this park, exploring different trails and stuff that were in this park. And so we knew that park like the back of our hand, and we would like pretend to be spies, and we would like trail people through the thing and like, not spy on them, but like follow them and practice our following things, which was absolutely atrocious because we had no clue how to follow somebody on foot. But we had fun, just let's see where this person's going. Okay, so we'll just follow them. And if they stopped and turned around, we'll just walk on past. I mean, stuff you get up to as teenagers. But we had a lot of fun. And we got to know that park so well that when the movie Tom Cruise, The Last Samurai, when that came out, that was filmed in and around that area that I grew up in as a teenager, where I spent my teenage years. And there's a scene where he's coming into the port, and that's actually the port of New Plymouth. And then when he's if you watch the movie, you see him training the Japanese to fire rifles, and that area that he's doing it is on the cricket oval there at Pukekura Park. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching the movie, and all of a sudden I go to Brad and go, "Oh, I know where that is." And he's like, "What?" I said, "The camera's standing on that," and I described the whole area to him. I said, "If they swing the camera around to the right," I said, "you'll see the big scoreboard there." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "This is Pukekura Park." I said, "I basically grew up in this park in my teenage years. I spent so much time walking around this thing. You're like the back of my hand." I said, "And straight ahead of that thing where they've got the little tiger things, it's all terrace seating. It's, they've cut the tiers for the seating out of the hill that was there, and they've put these long wooden planks of wood along there, and you just, with like a brick or something, or just little short things, and you'd all sit along these wooden benches." And then there was another scene later on where they're actually up on top of the hill and they're looking down at the encampment, and they must have done some CGI in there somewhere, unless they actually took down the scoreboard, but I don't think that was this massive thing. It's a huge thing. But they're looking down on the park, and the angle they have it on, you could probably, if you knew the park, you would know exactly where the scoreboard would be in that shot. And I said, "I know how to get." I said, "I know exactly where they're standing." I said, "Well, down there they were there, and then there's those seats over there that I was telling you about earlier." I said, "But where they're standing right now," I said, "that's up on top of the hill, and there's a secret path to get up there." So, "How do you know that?" I said, "Because," I said, "Liz and I spent so much time running around that park during our teenage years, between lunch and going to youth group, that we figured out how to get up there." And it wasn't just climbing on the terraces. We actually found the path up the back that goes up there. And they showed, there was another couple of scenes that was in that park as well. And I was able to tell him, "So I know exactly where that is." And so he was just sort of like, "Yeah, whatever." I can't remember if we took him to that park or not when we were there. I think we did. I think it was on my first trip to New Zealand with Brad. So back in 2002. Because we did go down to New Plymouth area. Pretty sure we went to the park as well, because it was such a big part of my teenage years was that park. And then we'd have nights with the youth group and stuff. We would go up into the park and do group activities up there and that sort of stuff. We did a scavenger hunt one night. We had different buses that we had to be on, and we're running through Pukekura Park, and there's like no lights. There's just the odd lamp light because the park's supposed to be closed. And you got these teenagers running through this place, and they were like, "Oh, we've got to go here." I says, "Follow me." And they go, "No, we go this way." Sign says go this way. I said, "Trust me, this way, faster." And so we ran through there and found what we were supposed to find and got back out again. And it's like, "How did you know about the shortcut?" I said, "I spent a lot of time here." So it's come in handy over the years, yes. But that was one thing we used to do that I used to do on Sundays as a teenager, was go spend some time with some families that had kids in youth group with me. And, we'd play board games, we'd go for walks, we'd go off and do stuff, and then we'd have dinner with the family as well, and then we would be taken off to our youth group meeting, and do what we did with the youth group thing, and then my mum and dad would come pick me up from there and take me back home. So that was my some of my teenage Sundays. The other teenage Sundays you would have heard about this morning. We also used to get the hot bread if I was going home with them. We got us kids took turns at going across the main road into this bakery and getting fresh hot bread, and it was the one that had the cheese, usually the ones that had the cheese on top. And we had restrictions on what we could get and what we couldn't get, and but it was basically whoever goes, it was your choice. But the problem was that we'd then stick it on the back windowsill of the car and would go off to church, and the whole way from when we picked it up to when we got to church, you've got this fresh bread smell in the car. I'm like, that is so mean. And then you go to get in the car afterwards to go back home, and you'd open the door and there'd be this waft of fresh baked bread coming out of the car. Oh my gosh, I just so wanted to pull that thing off the back of the windows, and I wanted to pick off all the bits that had all the cheesy bits on it, and it always had a crusty crust and melt in your mouth soft middle bits. Yeah, that was really good. So that was some of my traditions growing as in my teenage years. But if you want to hear the rest of them, you're going to have to go see part 1. But I got to take a dog for a walk. So go have a super fantastic. She never did it. But you know what I did do with her today? When I knew that the woman was on her way, I told Zephyr to go on patrol. And she's up there and she's sitting there and she's looking out the window. And then she kind of lays down and puts her chin on the edge of her bed, and I go, "Are you on patrol?" And her ears, and all of a sudden her ears came up. Like she's just laying there, just like looking out the window down the direction the cars usually come from. She's laying there, and all of a sudden then she stands up and she's looking down. I thought, groceries are here. Anyway, go have a super fantastic sparkling rest of your Serenity Sunday. Make it a great day. I'm going for a walk, and then when I get back, I'm sending my email to my client, and then we're going to sit and we're going to watch the 5th Jason Bourne movie. We watched Bourne Legacy last night, which is quite interesting because I've never noticed this before in all the times I've watched the James Bond movies. And I guess because there was such a difference between when the 3rd movie came out and when Bourne Legacy came out. But I never noticed this before. At the end of the 2nd movie, there's overlaps in the last 3 movies. The 1st movie completely separate, but 2, 3, and 4 there's overlaps. And so I'm curious to see when I put on number 5 tonight if there's overlaps with the other 3 movies. But in the 2nd movie, it ends at this point. But there's this whole string of things that start. And when the 2nd movie starts and you see Jason limping along, I'm like, hang on, is this starting straight after the big chase through the tunnels and everything else? And I'm like, I'm watching it, and then partway through the movie, the last scene from movie 2 is repeated, and I'm like, oh, they overlap. Whoo! Now I know what happened between when that movie ended and when this movie started. I know what happens in between, and when he said that bit. And then I'm watching Bourne Legacy last night, and that whole story is going on while all the stuff that happened in the 3rd movie is happening at the same time. So it's kind of happening simultaneously. And I thought, that is so cool. And then, of course, it goes a little beyond what the 3rd movie went beyond. So it was kind of cool that I've been watching them all this time, and I'd never made that connection. So like, that's so cool. So I'm curious when I put in the 5th disc tonight for the 5th movie, if there's any overlap with number 4. But anyway, I'm out of here. Catch you guys later. Have a super fantastic sparkling rest of your Serenity Sunday, and we'll catch you back here tomorrow morning for Magic Monday. Hey, konera.